Hey guys, it's me again, Orcs. Where we last left off. Let's see, checking. Where we last left off, well, first, at the end of the thing, Deku and all of them decided to have a nice meal that night. And before that, Deku had talked with Sludge and them about the Nomu, since he knows they probably have heard some things in the underground about things with multiple quirks. He got his information about the old myth that the Yakuza actually told him about beforehand. Sludge has devised a plan to get more information for Deku. He's deciding that he should probably go in and do some undercover work. He thinks this would be the best opportunity for Deku. So that way, what's the word? Damn, this thing's bright. So that way he can have an advantage and know not when to not get in over his head. Now, Deku decides this is his next day. Deku continues his training with All Might and the like. He continues on training, building up his relationship again. Life is going good for him. So this is when I'm just going to cut to UA. So during this time, his friends have told him about they're going to become heroes. Deku, as this will be the day of, when the teacher's talking about, future hero things. As I'm going to say it's a pretty similar reaction to how in canon, where the teacher tells them about, he knows that they don't want to do anything else with the hero track. So, sorry if you guys can hear that. I'm getting notifications from Discord. Let's see if I can shut that up real quick. I don't care. Buzz off. Thinking I should do it. Anyways. Yep, no notifications on. Anyways, sorry. Got distracted. No drink tonight. Sorry, guys. As he's discussing, and he's we got several applications in our class right here. See, we got Suyu. Let's see, we got Suyu, who wants to go for the hero course. That's a very good ambition, Suyu. And we got Deku. As everyone goes quiet a little bit after that, as they're no way, is that? Well, he did rein in a couple of bullies. I would say he'd be pretty good as a hero. Several of the students are agreeing with the fact that Deku wants to be a hero after, I'll say, he stopped a couple of minor crimes that got talked about. As he's just ignoring them and just going through the motions of the day, Suyu actually asked him to come meet with her again. Just the two of them. He's sure thing, Suyu. It's always comfortable to be around you. As he says that without really thinking about it, and she somewhat blushes at it. As Deku's just you coming? She's yes. So, following this, Deku follows her up to the roof as they're just sitting and eating in silence. Deku's she's typically a bit louder than that. She typically says something, but she ain't said anything. As he's wondering if something has happened, why am I yawning so much? Not even that tired. As she's trying to figure out ways to approach Deku, as I say, we're gonna have a flashback. We cut to when Habuko and Suyu are just hanging out by themselves. Suyu and her are talking about things, and then eventually somehow Suyu can't even remember. It got switched to the topics of relationships, as Habuko's talking and then brings it up, and she's since you have a crush on Midoriya, Suyu's stops, wait a minute, and she turns to her, she's I don't have a thing for Midoriya. She's Sue, we've known each other for how long? It's been several years. He's Right. You think I don't know you have a crush on him? As Habuko is pointing this out, Suyu's she's come on, it's pretty obvious who I have a crush on too. She's like, is it Midoriya? She's like, no, of course not. It's Man-Bat. As Suyu takes a pause at that, she's like, wait a minute. Man-Bat and Habuko? As she's looking at it, she's like, how? She's like, how did that happen? She's like, well, remember when, as they get to another flashback, of when he saved me from the Nomus? And she remembers how he, like, literally was a bat out of hell as he just spun around, bit, and tore into them, trying to help her, as she said, but everyone else did too, like Kevin helped. Grundy took a lot of damage to help us. She's like, I don't know what is that's different between them, but after Man-Bat did that for me, something just sort of changed. As Suyu's just like, and have you asked him out yet? As Habuko, like, flashes red. She's like, what? Of course not. And she's like, you're telling me to go after the guy I like. Yeah, you're not doing it? As she's like, I can do it at any time. You need a little nudge. I know that. She's like, I'm the most blunt person you know. If I liked Midoriya, I would have told him so. She's like, oh, well, it's too bad. Guess I'll give the president of school, student council president, okay to go after Deku. I see he's like, wait, what? As she, like, sort of gets Habuko and pins her against the wall. Like, what do you mean? She's like, told ya. She's like, ugh. It's like, seriously? You're joking? She's like, oh, I'm not joking. She's like, as Suyu looks at her, like, in a deadpan expression, she's like, yeah, she actually wanted to pursue Midoriya for a little bit, but it was unclear the status between you and him. As Suyu's taking this moment to think, and she's like, and if I say no, she's like, I'll tell her it's okay to go after him. As then Suyu's scratching her head like, why wouldn't she just come to me about it? She said, as Habuko says, she knows you wouldn't have told the truth. Unless you're pushed to it. Now, Suyu, I know you aren't particular about certain things, but you gotta admit, nobody has even tried to ask him out. It's like, yeah, that's because all of them are scared of him. They haven't been scared of him since, like, last year? She's like, what? She's like, yeah, there's developments, and so a lot of them warmed up to him more. As she's scratching her face, she's like, so what's your answer? She's like, yeah, I like Midoriya. As she's like putting her hand down her face, she's like, why? She's questioning her existence in that very moment. Questioning, Frog, by the power of Frog, why have you abandoned me? As we cut back to the future, she's still getting the terms of, she's realized she likes Midoriya. She doesn't know what to do with that, since she never really had time for a relationship when it came to taking care of her siblings. So she just decides this. She's gonna take a shot at it. She's just gonna wing it, because she has no idea what to do. She probably will never know what to do. So she takes this chance and shoots her shot. So as she gathers up, like, this courage to ask him out, the school lunch rings, as he's like, well, it looks like it's time for the end of lunch. As he gets up, she's like, Midoriya, before you go, she's like, she's covering her face. It's like, Suyu? She's like, do you think the two of us can, as she's like, staring over words, she's like, something happened? As he's like, as he gets, like, a bit upset, he's like, because he thinks something has happened to make her, like, freak out. She's like, yeah, I can't do it. Can't muster up the crocodile voice, the killer croc voice. I need to hydrate more water. But anyways, as he gets answers in that sort of growly voice, he's like, Suyu, has something happened? As she's like, nothing much. I was just asking. She's like, would you mind going on a date with me this weekend? She got quiet after that, and he's like, go on a date this. As his eyes go wide open in surprise, she's like, Um. Sure. As he says that, just like that, she's like, "Sweet, did it! Aha!" So she like gives herself a clap. She's like, "Thanks, Izuku." As she like quickly runs off, as Deku just stands up there. As he's stuck like that, he's like, "I need to talk with Killer Croc. Gang Orca. Maybe Looney. I need to contact all of them." As we cut over to Sludge and them, as Sludge and them has taken a day off, as they actually do have Gang Orca's contact information, as they call him up, inviting him over. As Deku's like having this mental crisis inside his head, wondering what he just agreed to, we cut over to them as they're inviting Gang Orca in, as they all have a sit down at the tables. And they got a pretty big seat just for Gang Orca, since Deku is massive. As he sits there, as Looney gets him like drink, as they're like, "So, did Doria tell you about what he thought about those creatures he fought yet?" Gang Orca strokes his chin. He's like, "Yes, I have. What of it?" As they're like, "All right, he doesn't know about this yet. We're gonna tell him later. We got a plan." It's like, "Inform me." It's like, "Okay, Sludge here still has contacts in the underground, alright? It's gonna be mighty suspicious if he just starts talking to people more out of nowhere." As he says, "Alright." And he's like, "Alright." Sludge was thinking about going undercover, you see. He's like, "Why?" As he's like judging whether or not he's doing this for information or doing it because he wants to be a villain again. He's like, "I hear the doubt in your voice, big man." As he's like, "From the looks of it, I've been hearing whispers and things are stirring hard. Nothing's gonna be the same in a little while." As he's scratching his chin, he's like, "From what I heard, people develop quirk-canceling drugs. Trigger. Hell, I think I even heard about more people getting more quirks out of nowhere. Shit's going haywire." As he rubs the back of his head, and as he says, the Meta Liberation Army, which is the group run by the guy that looks like Dr. Doofen's words, but they essentially believe people with powerful quirks should be in charge, no limits or whatever. It's like, and I heard the Meta Liberation Army, or MLA, I hear they're trying to make moves in the underground too. He's like, as Gang Orca leans forward, he's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "I'm definite. There's no doubt in my mind. My contacts are good information, Gang Orca. Thing ain't going anywhere. Things are getting worse." As he's like, "So what do you suggest?" "I infiltrate. Looney and Jackster, they've already gotten out of it. They weren't ever that big of players, let's just call them, inside the underground. Me, though, I had my groups, my gangs that followed me, and I feel like I could get back under there." He's like, "And you're telling me this so I could get that information as well?" He's like, "Oh, that, and also you can help convince Deku to let me do it." He's like, and there it is. He's like, "The plan you got is good, but how would you get us information alike? You gotta be secretive." As he's like, "This will be even going even deep, the deepest undercover any hero has gone." And he says, "In the end, you may not be able to get out of it if things are as bad as you claim them to be." As he Sludge is just like leans back in his chair and like takes a puff of a cigarette. He's like, "You don't think I know that? It's up to me. I'll let this society go to shit and then rebuild it. That's how it always goes." That's what I would have said about 8 years ago. So he remembers he first picked up Jackster a year or two after becoming a villain. Then he picked up Looney 3 more years after him. That was 5 years. And they had Deku for like a little while. So he says that as he's rubbing his, like, scratches his teeth, he's like, things aren't always great. But I can do this for the kid. I can do this for Lil Croc, as we call him. As Gang Orca just sort of snickers at that nickname. It's like, I am so using that nickname for him. He's like, go ahead. As long as he's like, go ahead. He hates it. As he's like, so what do you want? It's like, help me convince Deku to do this. Because, as sad as it sounds, Deku gets wind of me doing this behind his back, he's gonna be pissed that he wasn't let in on the truth, or he's gonna be pissed and beat my ass and yours for not telling him. He's like, yeah, that is true. He's like, so what do you say? Gang Orca rubs his chin. He's like, alright, but we gotta figure out a way to you give us our information, alright? Can't just go willy-nilly with this. He's like, I know that. So how about this? I'll start scrounging around getting groups together. Those who don't like the Metal Liberation Army, but aren't exactly all for the League of Villains. Or we could do the fact that I'll gather as many gangs as I can, and both sides would want a piece of me. He's like, alright. As they go on to discuss this topic for hours upon hours, trying to learn what to do. As Deku gets to the end of the day, Deku's hanging out with Kevin, Grundy, and Man-Bat. As he's sitting there, he's like, what's wrong, Deku? He's like, Suyu asked me out on a date. As they all stop, and they just turn on and it's like, as they all scream, yeah! As Deku's like, what the hell? It's like, finally, boys! Our brother's got a date! As Kevin's like, as Grundy's like, boss man got date for pretty girl. Good job. As he slaps his back. As Deku's like, this is not what I was expecting. It's like, well, what the... Damn it. He's like, what? Well, what were you expecting, boss? As Man-Bat, like, sort of flies around and wraps his wing around Deku's back to the best of as he can. He's like, you got Suyu. As Kevin's like, oh, come on, Man-Bat. She ain't that big of a catch. He's like, shut up. Girls with animal quirks, that's where it's at. As he's like, as Kevin's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, do you see me? As he like folds out his arm, he's like, and look at him. As he's like, you got a fair point there, alright? As like, yeah, damn right I do. So as they go on to have a conversation about this, Habuko is talking to Suyu about it. She's like, oh my god, you did it. And like very girly, I would just say. As Suyu's just like, yep, I did it. As she's like, I sprung it on him with no warning. As Habuko stops, she's like, want to repeat that? She's like, I told him how I felt. He said yes, and now I think I've confused him and broken him. As Habuko's like, god damn it. She's like, alright, I'll teach you the ways. I'll help you get you ready for your date. We're gonna go shopping this after school. As then we cut over to Kevin and all of them was like, we're going to the mall. Get you something that'll make you look sharp. He's like, you got an idea for a date? Anything? As Deku's just like, no. As he's like, alright, what do we know about her? As each of them spring into their own plans of action, wondering what should they wear, where should they go, how much should they spend. Those all questions. You got Gang Orca and all of them discussing in great detail how this whole undercover agency thing's gonna work with them. But I think that's where I'm gonna be ending it. It's quite late. Damn. Anyway, so well, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys continue to enjoy it, and